Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 4 of our Rings of Power review series. Or we have reached the midway point. और मजा आ रहा
Oh
है
yeah,
because
4 episodes.
चार
Yeah,
एपिसोड हो गए भाई और 4 एपिसोड में as we had predicted एक टीज हो गया है सावरॉन भाई के बारे में. तो we'll get to that a little later, but big points in this episode, guys. What do you guys think? Episode 4.
I have another new theory.
Of course you do, Baba. Of course you do.
I have a great theory, which I don't know whether I should speak about it now or should I speak about it later. But it's a great theory.
You speak now or forever hold your peace.
Done. I think Theo is going to be Gollum.
No,
बाबा तू अंधेरे में ऐसे तीर मारते जा रहा है कि किधर जाके लग जाए.
Gollum was a hobbit. His
Yes.
name was Smeagol.
Yes.
I think that he will turn into a hobbit and then.
सच बोल तू कौन सा लॉर्ड ऑफ द रिंग्स बुक पढ़ा वो जो सिग्नल पे मिलता है वो वाला. Theo is Gollum.
No,
So,
I just
you've
seen
had
that,
very
like-
good theories, Baba, so far, and you've been right for the most part. But
Including
I will have
Gandalf.
No, that's also
That
not
we
happening.
aren't sure yet.
But we refute all your other claims, especially Theo being Gollum, because Gollum was a
Hey.
hobbit.
You know that वो mutual fund ad के बाद जो disclaimer आता है ना, that should come before Baba's every theory.
Baba's theories are subject to market risk. Please don't
Dude,
believe
I
anything before
I
watching.
just enjoy the possibility of what if, right? Like it just seems like it'll be
You know
crazy.
something, Baba? I just want to spend 1 second on this theory and just think of this man's life then. पहले उसको magic sword मिला, उसमें भी dark lord का power. फिर magic ring मिला, उसमें भी dark lord का power.
फिर वो हॉबिट बन गया.
Hobbit बन गया बीच में.
ह्यूमन से हॉबिट बन गया, फिर फाइनली वो स्मीगल बन गया. लेकिन नहीं, वो नहीं है. बट कौतु, what do you think of the episode?
I thought the focus on Numenor and a little bit of that backstory of the orcs and all of that stuff.
That
was
was
very
really,
interesting.
That was really, really good because, like, I feel really bad for orcs because they are always used as this dumb, chaotic, expendable force. They just go in like thousands and then they die.
Henchmen.
Henchmen.
correct.
They've never
Foot soldier.
gotten their own arc. Get it?
Orc.
They've never gotten
their own orc.
And as a tribute to them, आज मेरा नाम orc है. Because everything good about the episode, and it was really interesting to see because you wanted to find out who Adar is. They teased him in the last episode. You finally get him to see. We all know he's a fallen elf, right? They refer to him as father, the orc. So there is definitely a connection there between the two, and it's going to be a big part of the orcs ka origin story, which is very interesting because nobody has ever cared to sort of explain that. Even in the movies, you didn't see too much of it.
No, even that human moment of, when that orc dies and he's placed on that bed and, the other orcs are like, this before Adar comes and kills him. but
that's mercy, right? That's
Yeah.
mercy.
Yeah.
You want the orc to suffer if there ever was a thing like that.
But so there was a little like, I don't know.
But there is that theory that orcs are also actually elves. Like back when Iluvatar created the Valar and like the first elves, there are a bunch of the elves who were taken in by the Valar in Valinor. And then the other part is who the orcs are. Because if you watch the earlier episodes also, I think these are the elves that were taken in by Morgoth for his War of Wrath. And that little layer that you see in the first couple of episodes, you see those orcs sort of not frozen in, but molded in with the walls at the back, right? So वो भी एक theory है that ये लोग भी और elves थे, and these were the ones that didn't make it to Valinor, and this was the other side because when they created the elves, there were a bunch of different tribes of elves that existed, and these happened to be one of them.
I mean, like the fact that like the orcs have come from the elves, right? It's so like the elves have aged so poorly in that in that stream of life.
Orcs are elves without plastic surgery.
Yeah.
वो गलत डर्मेट के पास गए.
Yeah, but also like in that section, right? I'm sure Adar is up to something. Sorry, I keep calling him Adar.
Adar.
I call him Gandalf. It's okay.
So he's up to something because so he lets Arondir know, who he is, in the sense that he reminisces about his time in Beleriand and talks about that being next to the river, seeing all the, like, he lets him know very clearly that he's an elf, right? And after that, he tells him that you have to go and send this message to the people that we are here and you have to surrender, right? Now, I find it interesting that he would let Arondir, a warrior elf, go, right? When like 4 orcs with a scroll could do
or just send Arondir's cut body on a horse to the south. Like, just like...
That's a very strong message.
No, with it
do
written.
that.
But the difference is, when an Arondir would go and talk about, he will tell you the actual gravity of the situation because he's seen that, as opposed to just a scroll growing or like a bunch of orcs going, because anybody sees orcs coming, so that was a...
There is no diplomacy with orcs, right? There's no diplomat orc.
Orc are like, sir, मैं message लेके आया.
Why?
यार, Arondir को भेजो यार. मेरे को क्यों भेज दिया? But they also talk a lot about Balerion, which was again the island that sunk. Lot of references to that throughout the episode. Again, in a way, also foreshadowing the fall of Numenor, because जब भी one true god Iluvatar भड़क जाता है, वो सीधा sync कर देता है सब चीजों को, and Balerion was one of those places, one of those islands where, in fact, even Arondir was born. So lot of glimpses and foreshadowing and sort of Easter eggs related to that. But his one true mission at the moment, obviously, is he's not Sauron. At least I feel that is now clear. He is probably somebody who's, again, just serving Sauron, and they are really behind that sword that Theo has,
that Gollum has,
which is what he's sending the orcs to find.
Correct.
It'll be interesting to see कि वो कैसा build up कर रहा है, क्या कर रहा है, and what is eventually his plan of action.
Also, I think it's Waldreg, the guy's name, the creepy older guy.
The bar guy, the guy who owns the bar.
Yeah. So we see the first direct sort of like a direct character who is part of the men, but is fully serving Sauron on the side. Right, the double agent.
Correct.
First double agent.
The guy who Theo meets in the end, who actually owned the sword. Like, it was from his house that Theo
he's taken
the sword. Like, we were thinking that it was given to him by his father.
Correct.
One of those theories we had that has been refuted now, because it is an actual human man from the realms of men who is fully serving Sauron, and he knows, and you can see the markings,
matching
on his
tattoo.
Hand. Matching tattoo, plus you need the blood to activate the sword. So that was quite cool, because now that evil is properly afoot, that it is there, it's already corrupted this guy. It may eventually end up corrupting Theo in some way or form. So,
dude, I don't know, I can't shake this off. Theo's haircut is exactly like that guy's haircut. It's little long and nothing here. Like, it's...
So that's Sauron's modus operandi. इसके पास bangs है और ऐसे short haircut है. ये लोग बहुत easily shift हो जाते हैं dark side के तरफ. तो
like, if you're almost a beetle.
Let's also talk about like just that little backstory that the Queen Regent finally talks about, like her father and how she is conflicted as the Queen Regent, saying that, I wish I could join forces with you. But that line is really nice, which is about saying that, a friendship needs only a thread, but a kingdom can't have that thread. Like, you can't bind a kingdom with a thread. And just this constant conflict of people saying it's a great parable for, it's a great allegory for now as well, right? Like, you're going to have, because the arguments are that only, ki the elves are non-tiring, they are immortal, they will come and do our jobs, and it's such a
good. It is.
And like, deep down, that's what Numenorians want, right? They want the immortality of the elves. We spoke about this in the last episode, because that is the easiest way for Sauron to. I mean, we all know that the fall of Numenor is inevitable. It's written everywhere, so it's not something that's coming as a shock. But it's interesting to see the events that lead up to it, and you're saying this happened. Acha, yaar, you do this, it is going to eventually lead.
Yeah. So my question is, what do you think is happening when eventually, like, the tree starts shedding tears, and as the tree starts shedding tears, they realize that Galadriel shouldn't go with this thing. Obviously, the sign that Galadriel leaving is something that they shouldn't be doing, and that tree has sort of told them that. What do you think it is that she is going to accompany them and
So
then go?
so what's interesting is, like, in a lot of mythology, in a lot of like fantasy, there's a lot of prophecy. Right now, the interesting thing about prophecy is that it is never like, it's never like the clear cut instructions you find at the on a like a recipe, right? It's up to interpretation.
Interpretation, exactly.
Right now, how you interpret it is fully based on your wisdom and judgment. So when
And your biases.
and your
Right.
biases.
Yeah.
So initially, when Galadriel appears on Numenor, they feel like she's the harbinger of doom.
Correct.
But another interpretation is that she's the one who can save them if doom is coming, but it's not her.
Correct. In fact, her leaving is the start of doom. Like, that's the
if you don't
interpretation.
listen to her, then you're going, and which is what eventually happens, because Numenor gets.
But it was
sunk.
also interesting to see, finally, they've shown the Palantir. Palantir is basically the seeing stones. There are 7 seeing stones that are there, and they usually give you a bunch of visions. Now, once you get those visions, you can sit and sift through what you think is the actual reason for the doom that's going to happen. And that change was really good, because Miriel, the Queen Regent at Numenor, was very sure that, wait, I've seen this vision, I've seen this massive tsunami coming in, drowning all of Numenor, and that began with Galadriel. You already have that bias towards the elves, because she saw what happened with her father. The entire populace of Numenor turned against her dad. So it was very almost natural for her to then think that, wait, it is Galadriel who's going to cause the doom of Numenor, and hence you see her being so, like, antagonistic towards
Correct.
Galadriel. But that shift in the end was really good. What I also found interesting was, you see Pharazôn, right? Like the middle of the episode, when the guy who Halbrand beat up, he's trying to rally the people, saying that, listen, this elf is whispering things into the queen's ears.
Correct.
Again, it's like a hat tip to Sauron, because that's what Sauron does to Pharazôn later, to promise him immortality if he joined the side of
evil.
Morgoth. Yeah. That's the same thing he does to Celebrimbor, to make sure that they are able to make that forge and preserve the realms of the elves. Classic divide and rule. Dono side ko ek dusre ke against kara do, and then see what happens. So that was really cool.
And like that speech he gives, right? It was such a William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar scene, where two people make one speech after another, right?
Yeah.
And it's pure rhetoric. And the way that Pharazôn is able to counter these arguments that were coming from the people, and like the way that he's able to just calm them down while instilling patriotism, and ends with a round of beer. Like, just like he was one sentence away from saying, I will also build a wall around Numenor. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It was a very make Numenor great again speech. So again, a lot of interesting things, because they finally now told you, which they were teasing throughout the earlier episodes, is the faithful, right? We kept talking about faithful are the Numenorians who actually accompanied the elves to Middle-earth and eventually led to the forming of Gondor. We were all trying to figure out, how does Isildur find his way there, because he was just this dude on the boat. That was really interesting, because if you watch the movies, you read the books, you know that Isildur is the main guy who eventually cuts off Sauron's finger on which the ring is, right? So him getting fired from the ship with his 2 other friends, then coming and eventually then signing up to be a part of the Queen's protection, is really good, because now you know who the faithful are.
Yeah,
like, it's very evident. It's his 2 friends from the boat. It's him. It's eventually going to be Elendil as well, because they all go along with the Queen and Galadriel to Middle-earth to fight. So that, like, a lot of interesting things that, when you suddenly see, like, oh, that's how it's happening. Oh, that's how it's happening.
Correct. And I think that they've reached that point where now they're going to have to start putting the cubes together. Because बहुत सारा ऐसा खोल दिया है. So now you're going to have, I think, like 5, 6, 7, 8 is going to be really like let's start solving all these let's start tying up these threads that we've opened up, because there's so many. Like, we have no idea what's happening with the half-orcs, right? Like, we have zero idea in this episode. So I think and at some point, I think in this season, they're going to have to get to Middle Earth. Like, I think it's going to end with Galadriel and the Queen Regent and the faithful reaching Middle Earth to discover something. And I think that's where the season finale.
Every time I feel like a specific character is not Sauron, because that's been the biggest thing, right? कि अरे इसमें से Sauron कौन है? Theo Sauron है, Halbrand Sauron है, Adar Sauron है. Everybody is a prospective. Meteor Man Sauron है. Everybody is a prospective Sauron, right? So that conversation between the guy whose sword it was, when he's talking to Theo and he's talking about, that he's here, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, how do you know? He said, you did see the meteor fly across. Then you're like, oh, wait, is that Sauron coming back? Then Halbrand has a really good conversation with Galadriel when they're both put into the prison, where he talks about the way you get people on your side is that you promise your enemies a means to control their fears, right?
Yeah.
What are Numenorians' biggest fear? That elves are going to take over us. Elves have immortality. We don't have it. So we don't want them, right? वो एक डाल दिया. Automatically, that's very like, it's Sauron speak, so to say. So the minute I thought he is not that, my kata still goes back towards Halbrand कि ये हो सकता है क्या कुछ.
नहीं, वो Witch King है.
Also, it would be interesting in the sense that right now, I mean, we'll find out what happens in the next episode, but as of right now, the Queen Regent is leaving, Galadriel's leaving. There's a bunch of these Elendil, Isildur, and the three other friends who he got fired with him, all of them, and some of the other faithful, they're all leaving. We don't know if Halbrand's going yet.
Yes.
Right? And his whole indication so far in all these episodes is that I want to stay here.
Yeah.
मेरे को वापस नहीं जाना है. Like,
also, Sauron let himself be captured.
Exactly.
By Numenorians, which is why every time I think Halbrand is not Sauron, I sort of go back towards him. I thought he was Witch King of Nazgul last episode, but it's so interesting the way they keep teasing these things so that you never completely know who is what.
तुम लोगों को क्या लगता है ये episode 8 तक Sauron आएगा क्या?
आना तो पड़ेगा ही भाई.
I think that's going to be the cliffhanger.
I think that's going to be the cliffhanger. Like, they get to Gondor और उधर Sauron खड़ा है saying welcome home. ऐसा कुछ होना. It's going to be like that.
Hey, welcome home. If that's not Sauron, Baba, I don't know what is. So also one, I mean, that was about Numenorians and the elves and their alliance that formed to go towards Middle Earth. But going back to Eragion, where you have Eragion. Again, that scene between Durin and what's her name? Elrond. I feel there is a lot of teasing towards him, because we eventually know that the greed of Numenorians and the greed of the dwarves eventually lead to the falling of their respective kingdoms. Right? When you see this, Celebrimbor tells Elrond that, listen, I feel that the dwarves are hiding something from me. They are not being completely open. So even when Elrond goes, he's met with a lot of like shade that, oh no, Durin's not here. He's mining quartz somewhere, and they have this elaborate lie that they cook up. He eventually hears the song that the kids use to enter that secret cave where it's happening. And bro, the best part was, you see that scene, right? Elrond and Durin are finally there, and he's like, I'm mining this thing, and then he goes and he opens it. जैसा ये देखा ना, it immediately in my head, I went, this is Mithril. I don't know why. And he almost said, because he said, we call it gray stuff or gray things or something like that.
Your language, Mithril.
Your language is Mithrug. And he's like, no, it's not Mithrug, it's Mithril. Mithril, as we know, we've seen it in the movies as well, is that what people use as armor, right? Like
Suraksha Kavach.
Suraksha Kavach hai wo.
No, and the rings. The rings were created out of Mithril.
Mithril, correct. So you also know that now you will know that the dwarves will go for this, and they don't want this to be told to the whole world, because it's a unique ore that they've discovered, I think. And you see how badly Durin wants it, right? Even though Durin's father's not allowing him to mine further, I
You know
think,
something, like what I really liked about that particular section is that it's a very good sort of allegory for, like, times are different, things are different, but the intentions of people are same. So for example, like the way that plays out, right? There is Durin's father who says that, look, it's too dangerous to mine for this particular ore.
hmm,
Durin is like, no, this will transform our entire society, and that's a very large incentive to actually do it,
correct.
right? However, eventually that is going to wake up one creature that we will
Yeah,
see later on.
the fact that you saw the mountain shake was a clear cut hat tip
So,
to this big creature who we have seen in
so,
some mines of Khazad-dûm.
so basically, the link I'm making is that this is very similar to creating nuclear reactors,
Yeah, yeah.
where, like, it's very dangerous. People are like, please don't do it. But
Hmm.
other people are like, this will transform our society. We need it. Let's do it. And then you wake up a calamitous Balrog.
Dude, that
So,
Balrog coming here is going to be great because we've already seen glimpses and we've seen entire scenes with the Balrog in the Lord of the Rings movies. So
yeah.
to see that before that scene, many eons ago, how and what led to the waking of
Waking
this
of.
creature is interesting. Where you know, like unlike the Numenorians, I don't think Durin has like ill feelings, or you know what I mean. Like there is no when I say greed, it's greed for the betterment of his own people and for transformation of his society in general,
And
right?
that's the problem with life, right? Ki, like, a lot of terrible things are done with the best intentions.
Correct.
So like like the other thing about this whole uh, thing is, do you think, Thakur,
Hmm.
that the Balrog's alarm is dwarves mining?
Yeah.
That is
Yes.
6:30 बजे उठ
And then he's just angry that he's been woken up.
yeah.
Bro, Balrog is me every morning. I'm literally Balrog. Just let me sleep. Don't wake me up.
Also,
Hmm.
the way that they like for example, Disa's song,
Hmm.
right? And you see how they kind of like scope out the minerals in the mine, right? Like she's basically praying to the mountain to let the miners go,
Come out alive.
yeah, to come out alive. But like, it's also interesting that that's how they also find other minerals in the mountain.
Correct. Correct.
So your trained singers in the dwarf society are basically working professionals who are helping out in mining.
Mining through their voice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
ठीक
yeah.
है वो क्या ऑक्टेव पकड़ रही है ब्रो उसमें
Yeah.
पूरा I mean your voice shaking an entire mountain is insane. So we had all of that. I think another big part was the entire Theo sequence. Now you've seen Bronwyn, who's taken the entire village, gone to this Elven Tower. They're all stuck there for many a days with no food. Obviously, Theo, who has a lot of khujli, decides to sneak out and go find some food with his friend for the people there, in spite of being told not to because of the dangers at hand. Goes and then he meets our very dear friends, orcs. But they're not orcs, they're the Vrats, right? Vreth, if I'm
No,
not
that's, I think,
mistaken.
it's the name of that particular specific orc.
Oh, that guy's
यार
name
ये
was Rat.
TH is व्रत
So,
और वो भूखा है इसके लिए वो व्रत रख रहा है इसके लिए उसको खाना देने का नहीं है किसी को दैट्स द पॉइंट गाइस
But
कम
dude, did you see the Vanner when
या
Theo is in the night when he's escaping from the orcs? That one shot that they had where they're just following him as he goes from place to place and the orcs
yeah,
are hunting. And
yeah.
I love these because it's so well choreographed. You have to,
Dude,
like,
such sequences take, I mean, Baba,
immense
as a
planning
director, you will know, like it takes some incredible planning because not one thing has to come together. 25 things have to come together,
yeah.
right? Like your camera work, the lighting, the acting,
the
the
extras
orcs
the
coming
the
in,
extras.
extra background, and to do a well done one take sequence is always very pleasing to the eye. And obviously, good high speed shot. So when Theo is about to be killed, you see Aaron there, aake bacha leta hai usko, and then they're running through that forest. There's something about watching elves shoot arrows in slow motion that is just so pleasing to the eye. Like periodically at different points of time in different episodes, you have these really stylized very cool slow motion shots, and they
Yeah.
never get boring, right? And even when
No.
the
Because
way he runs,
they're also used sparingly.
yeah,
They're
they're not
not.
just doing it all the time.
Yeah,
Correct, correct. So the time that it actually does come in, it's really good to see. Even that sequence when where he puts Theo down and he happens to catch
Catch
the
one.
arrow.
Yeah.
That is really, really cool. फिर बच जाते हैं और चले जाते हैं बाहर, and we see what is going to happen with them in the next set of episodes. But overall good. Overall, in terms of fan service,
Overall, five-star rating. Very
Five
good.
star.
Very much enjoyed product.
Yeah. No, but like great fan service, a lot of hat tips, a lot of Easter eggs, and foreshadowing of things that are going to happen. But the process of getting to that shown really nicely. क्या होने वाला है? What do you think we should expect from episode 5?
I think I think we'll come back to that. I think the hobbits, the Harfoots would have migrated. I think this episode is the time in between where like Meteor Man helps them get to the thing. I think we find out a little more of his intentions, which is going to be good. And I think by episode 8, you will find out whether he's good, bad, or where he stands on it. Yeah. Yeah. I think right now the people in most peril are Bronwyn and that entire.
Yeah.
Because firstly, now Adar knows that they have the sword.
And they are in the tower.
hilt.
Yeah.
He knows where they are. They are low on supplies. They are surrounded by orcs. I think they are in most trouble right now. So I need. I'd like
and you
to see
only
how...
have one Arondir with them, right? Who's like a trained fighter. Everybody else are like, they're just regular villagers doing regular people work. None of them are trained fighters or whatever. So that'll be really interesting. And I feel eventually Adar will get his hands on, they call it the hilt. The sword is called the hilt, right? I think he'll eventually get his hands on that. And because he probably knows how to summon the powers or whatever, that will obviously lead him to becoming much stronger. And it's him and his army of orcs that our heroes will have to first defeat before they even tease or show the physical form that Sauron eventually takes. So that's going to be very interesting. Midway point has been good. Any other theories, guys? Baba?
No, I'm done.
Okay, so that's it from the episode 4 review of the Rings of Power. If you guys have watched it, have any fan theories, things you may think are going to be shown in the upcoming episodes, please let us know in the comments. And watch the show and come back next week to watch us do yet another episode. Thank you so much for watching. Till then, it's Tata. Goodbye. See you from all of us.